Showtime! Somehow I don't even care about starting off with coffee, unlike last week. Cool. Let me just catch up here. Long day, long day. Long day of not of a lot of stuff, just a long day of a lot of little things. I want to start off with, for anyone who catches up on this later, because it's put the word out, right? So hopefully get some eyes on TV later. But remember, tune in at 7 o'clock Central. So I don't know what your time zone is, where you are, where you're watching this, but 1 hour from now, if you've got access to CBC, make sure to tune in, check it out. If you don't have access to CBC in your area, for example, if you're living in the States and you want to check it out, take a look at their digital platforms. It'll be broadcasting on there. And then there's also going to be the National. We'll have half-hour versions of face-to-face for the next 4 days, and it will also be on at 11:30 p.m. local in Canada on CBC as well. But that is for the episode of Dwell on It, or not Dwell on It, for face-to-face that I got the opportunity to participate on, where I asked Aaron O'Toole questions, and Rosemary Barton was moderating the event between myself and three other voters, and so I put the questions out there. The experience was fun. If anyone saw my last tweet that I just put, I was alluding to not going supernova, because I've affirmed many times in the past, just with conversation and on social media and even on my YouTube channels and whatnot, media and journalism is inherently transphobic, and I'm doing the best that I can to be mindful of. I don't know what the live production will look like, so I can't. Let's just say I'm prepared to see myself incredibly watered down. And if that happens, I will be speaking up, because it is literally systemic oppression, which is what I advocate against. And so I am concerned that will be an experience, and I'm not looking at it as an issue. It just is something else for me to raise visibility about. If anyone who knows me well enough, I don't see problems. I find solutions. Right? It's pretty simple as that. That like a problem literally cannot exist without a solution, and I already have it in the back of my head of how I will address things if what my gut is telling me is right. Either way, it was a very exciting experience. Looking forward to everyone having an opportunity to tune in and check it out. And we'll see how it goes. I'm already going to preface the next episode. I've got a bag of questions, and my gosh, oh my gosh. There were some great groups of questions that were DM'd to me, and I gotta get myself some more cards to write on. It's got to be close to another 200, 250, which is fantastic. So thank you to everybody for all of those questions. I will be parking those next week, and I will be following up with the with my points from the episode of Face to Face, based on the questions that I asked and why they were important. And then also, again, depending on how production looks, could just air some thoughts on that, and what would be my take on that, and how things go from there. So super exciting experience. Like I said, next week I am going to flip the format slightly, because the election coming up this is going to be an absolutely massive election for Canada, and I want to make sure that trans visibility is addressed. And I've done what I can with what's in my control, and everything else is TV magic. So see what happens from there. Oh, shoot. Just saw an email coming in from a store where I just bought stuff from another store earlier today for more expensive. Fuck. Anyway, grab bag. Let's get into this. So like I said, a little preamble ramble there, and in just less than an hour, tune in to CBC, and like I said, I am so prepared to see what I am so prepared to see myself watered down. Whew. I am so prepared to see that. But we'll see what happens. Okay, do you prefer going out or staying in? Well, it's funny. I'm very much a homebody. I like doing things, but I also don't go out of my way to find things to go to. Staying in's kind to me. Now, in a past life, it was very much the same. In today's life, it's going out just requires a little more work. Past life, it was a t-shirt and jeans, call it a night. It's a little more work now, so I'm not saying that it's an issue. I just want to plan ahead for that. I've never been one to really like impromptu ideas anyway, so it's really not circumstantial for my day-to-day anyway, but, you know, I want to make sure that I'm, you know, not a, like even if in a past life, if I was just, like, an absolute hot mess and I just finished working out, or I, like, you know, in my jammies or just whatever, I'm just a total slug of things. It's like, hey, want to go out, right? Yeah, it's like 5 minutes later, right, in the shower and out the door. Not so much anymore. So I prefer going out. I just don't like I don't like going out without purpose, and I don't like going out without some planning. Pretty much, it's not a life policy, just personal preference. Staying in is nice to me, because, I don't know, I have everything that I need, and even when it comes to, well, let's say if I had a partner, I like spending quality time, and so you can have quality time going out or staying in, and sometimes you can have some really creative quality times with staying in, and that's not counting bedroom stuff, right? But it's like you can, if you know, turn off the TV and the digitals, right, and, you know, you can have some really meaningful quality time, like, you know, asking questions, right, or coloring or painting or whatever. Those are super meaningful, and playing a video game, whatever. Those are all great little things to do as well. So, but, like, the biggest bias between the two is, to me, like I said, it's just a little bit of work. Hashtag normalize the bulge. What roles do love and affection play in your life? I love love. I love love. I love love. Love is difficult for me, because I'm trans. And so, in that nature, I've always been incredibly guarded and not vulnerable, as I've discussed in episodes in the past. But I would always be pouring everything out regardless, and that's not in a way of trying to sell myself to the other person, because if I was invested in them, I'm giving them me. But I wasn't giving them all of me, but everything that I was willing to give, I would do it completely. Here, have everything I'm willing to give you. Terrible paradox, by the way. It doesn't work out for quality relationships, as we can tell. But I love love. The word love is incredibly meaningful to me. I believe strongly in the happily ever after. I'm not saying I believe that everybody will get it, but I believe strongly that when two people who want to make it work, try to make it work, will make it work. And so affection goes part and parcel with that. Affection would, of course, be a display of love, or at least to be amorous. And when I'm with a partner, I'm not I'm not shy to, make sure that everybody in my radius knows that I love her, right? And I can only hope that, of course, that she would do the same in return. I know that, I've been with partners in the past who have issues with PDA, and that, like, I'm not saying you gotta, like, fall over each other on a bench in the beer gardens or anything like that. That's kind of weird and kind of fucking weird. But like, just the ability for others to be like, oh, look at those two, is it's nice to me because it shows that there's pride in the relationship and there's joy, right? And other people's thoughts about it don't matter. So how do they currently play? Well, N/A, I guess. It is what it is, right? Review on pets. That's fun. I like a lot of these questions that I can see how they're, trans-oriented in a way, like whether it's with relationships or, a little more insight or whatever. I like just some of these wild ones. What do you think of pets? I don't know. I was actually cleaning my, part of the reason why it's a little bit of a heavier day for me is I've been meaning to get around to cleaning up my Mac and not just my Mac but my iPhone because I ran out of cloud storage. Definitely not phone storage. I've got a 512 gig Mac, so not running out of room there, but with cloud storage I was running out, and I was like, okay, I get around to cleaning up old pictures and this and that and whatever, and I'm the farthest thing from a photo bug, so I had quote unquote only 10,000 pictures going back to the beginning of when I started taking pictures, I guess, right, which was pretty much early 2000s. I never really did anything with pictures before I started seeing my future ex-wife. But yeah, I was cleaning through pictures and I was seeing all the pets that I used to have. I used to have 3 cats at one time, twice. I love cats personally. I like their independence, right? It's convenient. And they're relatively portable. And I really like their independence. I like that you can pretty much leave them alone, and they're going to be okay. And going back to the last topic about like love and affection, I was like talking about dating or whatever, where I'd always find it funny where it's like, hey, want to stay over? It's like, no, I gotta go home with the dog. I'm like, yeah, that's right. They pee and poo everywhere, right? And whatever, right? But it's because that's what dogs do. If they don't, get to go outside at the right time, they let you know that they miss their schedule. Cats couldn't give a shit, literally. And of course, you gotta make sure that you clean up after them still on a regular basis. But it's the fact they're not as much on a schedule is fantastic. I do miss my pets. When I moved in here 7 years ago-ish, I came across rental stuff the other day. I think it was 2014 that I moved in here. 2014? Yeah, I moved from South Winnipeg in 2012, 2013 there. Yeah, no, that's right, because I was living in close to Wolseley for all the way until about 2011. Then I went to South Winnipeg for 12 and 13, and then moved over here in 2014, give or take. So anyway, at that time, my pets were with my biological parents, and I had them just when I was like moving or whatever. And it just, as circumstances went around, they wanted to keep them, and I had a handshake agreement with this apartment of either new floor, but no pets, right, or keep the old floor with pets. And like I said, because you know, my cats were happy where they were, and they were happily being taken care of, I figured it was just, may as well like stop moving them around all the time. And so I've been without pets since. I keep it that way. Sometimes there is a little bit of isolation, which is why pets are really nice. But I've got more than enough things on the go to feel like a pet will fill a certain void or anything like that. But I'll be more than happy to pet a cat or a dog or a fox or a raccoon or whatever. I don't know. I don't care. Yeah, no, I'm all in on pets. So long as the pets are just not destructive and with decent temperament, but I think that's pretty reasonable to ask from like anybody. Of all the people in your family, whose death would you find the most disturbing? Why? Me. Done. Why? Because me. Because I feel that I'm creating change, and if I'm not making change, then that's disturbing to me. And then honestly, I'll add a little, like, just insight on it on two angles. I'm happily independent from anything that people would define as a family. I'm happily independent. So, in my view, I am my family. So, there's a default. And then second, the unknown is frustrating. And it's not necessarily the unknown, it's the fact like there is a theory of probability that everything just goes off. Sentience is done. Everything is done. Eternal blackness. And you don't even know it's eternal blackness because it's over. And that's a lot to sink in, right? Like where other beliefs, you know, believe in reincarnation or heaven and hell or so many other versions of an afterlife or whatever. I'm very much on we're sacks of meat and bones powered by electricity, right? And sentience is fortune. And when the batteries turn off, nothing else works, right? So it's wild. It's wild to think that everything that somebody does or believes in or works towards or aims or whatever is and it's not even over, because from the perspective after death, is it never, like there's no relative point to compare it to, right? And it's funny that I actually, even when I was doing my face earlier, I really like to listen to a couple of YouTube channels, super insightful, usually topics on science and space, and stuff I've been listening to lately, Cool Worlds and whatnot, where I really like the guy because I feel like I can like totally grasp where he's going with the conversation. Don't get me wrong, he's got a PhD, so he speaks the math and science a lot better than I do. But the logic, especially when it becomes discussions about logical arguments or whatever, I would absolutely love to banter over a tea with him of whatever. Because the last thing I was listening to was about do you live in a simulation? Short answer is no, probably. And it's wild to think about that, right? And especially when you consider like the logical arguments of theoretically living in a simulation, it's a non-zero probability. It's crazy, which is cool to me too. But like, so that just kind of goes back to the stuff where, when it comes to everything just turns off, right? Or the fact like there's quite possibly infinite universes, infinite parallel universes, And even with that, even when it comes to our own existing universe, the theories of how it comes to an end, where, and some are harrowing. There's obviously a lot um, of of acceptance on the concept of the big freeze, but even even the idea that there is a speck in the universe that essentially started deleting itself. I think it was something along the lines of like a vacuum theory or something along those lines. I'm trying to remember how like the science of it starts, but anyway, the point of it is there's like a singularity in the universe that is now becoming not a black hole, but literally like deleting its existence. And it's deleting its existence at a rate faster than light speed, if I remember correctly, just because of the fact the universe is expanding, blah, 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 blah. But then that, by that principle, that it's undetectable because of its speed. And that means that in that theory, it is possible that within the next minutes, what we know as our planet, as our lives, is just like non-existent. And it's so wild to think that that is a non-zero possibility. So, yeah, so when it comes to whose death would I find most disturbing? Mine. And it's because of what happens next. Which is why I do the best that I can to just make sure that I'm creating a positive change, because I can't do anything about it later, right? Awesome question. Flip the gears here. Is sex about constantly pushing the boundaries or playing by the rules? It is about respecting each other first. Sex is about respecting the boundaries, the limits, and the curiosities with your partner. So that's step one of the playbook. That's step one of the playbook. Because pushing the boundaries in a one-sided way is not right. And playing by the rules, well, you have to depend what the rules are. Right? I guess that goes back to being on par with your partner. So sex is about neither. Sex is about respecting the wants and the boundaries and the curiosities and the passions of your partner and with your partner. Simple as that. To get the psychological side off and getting to the physical side, fun's fun. Sometimes you're tired, sometimes you want to try something new. But like, sex is about respect with your partner and showing it with intimacy. Oh, I wrote this one terribly. Okay, let me try this again. Whew, handwriting. Your house containing everything you own catches fire. After saving your loved ones and pets, you have time to safely make a final dash to save any one item. What would it be and why? Okay, well, let's presume I have loved ones and pets. I'm going to assume superficial things like cell phones and laptops and prescription medicines and whatever are excluded. Right? Like, I'm going to assume that this is a suggestion about what is a sentimental thing, not what is the most destructive loss. That was a really good way to put it. Wow, good job, Tay. There are some, it's similarly when I was cleaning up a ton of my pictures, like a ton of my pictures. I think I'm down to like 5,000 from what used to be 10,000 or whatever. Some things are difficult to just can because they're important to you, regardless of where they were, introduced into your life, what they meant during your life then. So I'm going to say that I have I've just got a small collection of sentimental items, gifts, moments, tucked away. And I just pile things in there. And I feel like if that got lost, I can overcome it, don't get me wrong. But I feel it would be important to get a hold of tangible memories. Like even when it came to these pictures, for example, that I was cleaning a ton up from, like random pictures of the sky, the park, being in Toronto, Blue Jays game, the zoo, I was cleaning all those because like I know that I've been there. I don't need to go back in time to watch myself remember that I was at a Jays game, for example. So similarly enough, where most of everything that I have at home is just a thing. They're all replaceable. So, like I said, it's just some sentimental yesterdays that would be meaningful to me to not lose. I can certainly be at peace if they got lost, but because they're not able to be recreated with that same reason, I'd prefer to avoid that loss. Fun. One more. How do you deal with struggles, problems? Oh, that's kind of like the start of the episode. I feel I've done an excellent job of allowing myself to, well, like I said earlier, problems fundamentally are not problems unless there is a solution. So knowing that a problem is not a state of permanence certainly helps, because then it's as simple as adding that now you recognize that there is a solution. We don't know what it is, where it is, or how far away it is, but we know that if we work on getting the right steps happening, a solution will come to the problem, right? And struggles and whatever too. I do the best that I can to, maintain mindfulness when necessary. I do pay attention to my body. I'm the farthest thing from a yogi. I definitely want to say that. But honestly, even little things like, I remember I was talking with Lace about this the other day, but like even the Apple Watch, I don't know about the other models or anything like that, but I've had this thing for a few years now already. But I remember the first time that I wore it, it was tapping me about breathing. Fuck off, right? Breathing. Breathe when I want to. Tell me when to breathe. And then realizing, after happening a couple times, that I was noticing a trend. That it would start to, I'd get the breathe notification, and it would be happening when I was feeling a moment of anxiety. Or if not anxiety, like I wasn't having an anxiety attack, right? But I was feeling anxious about a thing. My thoughts were going about something. And so then with that I was taking the breathe notification seriously, right? Because like, okay, cool, I'll take a minute. Let's just come back down. And then with that, I was starting to allow myself to recognize, as it wasn't an overnight thing, but to see the trends and then analyze the trends and analyze the body, how I was feeling, or what my thoughts were going into that very last moment that the watch was like, hey, your heart rate's going up, let's bring you down. And by doing that it just became a skill in life of feeling, you get a little tension in the middle of your chest, for example, right? Or you're starting to feel, however people recognize their own symptoms of anxiety or distress or whatever it would be, your body speaks to you. Your body is talking to you when those moments happen. And so then as soon as you notice those early warning signs, you can start to act accordingly about that. So this is, I've got major gratitude for that, just from my watch. It was a total byproduct of getting the thing. But that is largely what I do. But otherwise, like I said, I do the best that I can to practice mindfulness. And then I also, honestly, I really subscribe to the theory of there's things you can control and there's things you can't control. To close this, to get ready for the thingy on TV in half an hour, I can control what I want to talk about. Okay? This is almost like a perfect card to grab. I can control the topics that are important to me. I can control what I want to talk about. I can control how I phrase my questions, and I can control my availability. I cannot control the TV, the production team from editing what I say, because media is a business, and that is frustrating. Or editing whatever, right? Not just what I say, but like the conversation, any of the intro, whatever. I was asked to do things, and I did the things. Okay? Those are the things that I have control of. What I can't control, like I said, is the end result. And if the end result is not what I feel is an authentic representation of my values, I'm not going to sit and feel like I got screwed over, for example. Because I'm aware, as I mentioned, of how media and journalism is fundamentally transphobic. If not by the industry itself, but because of it wanting to be profitable, and it wants to cater to people who provide it revenue. So, and that even goes to why this opportunity was really exciting for me, because I get visibility, or I create visibility. Either's a win. Because, like I said, if things aren't represented as authentically as I presented myself, in a variety of ways, right? Like multiple emails back and forth about, you do this, do this, do this, do this, do a few takes of da-da-da-da-da. But if I'm not represented authentically and get watered down as I feel that I will be, then I raise awareness about it. And that's a solution to that problem. By raising awareness and saying that I got misrepresented, and you know I got misrepresented for your best interests. Now we're going to fix it. Not to be as brash about it, but like just as an example. If there's a problem, I'm not going to be mad about the problem. I'm going to create a solution so that that problem, if not gets rectified, it doesn't happen again. So we'll see what goes from there. It took a while to get to that part in my life, right? Because like, there's days I feel frumpy, right? Like, there's days where I just feel like almost see my, I'm just not feeling me, right? But I know I gotta go to the store or whatever I gotta do. It's like, you know what? The store's not gonna come to you. Actually, technically it can now, right? But like, still, right? But you gotta go out, you gotta do whatever. It's happening anyway. You're you haven't changed, right? Just keep on going, right? It's that positive self-talk, that just the constant affirmations that things will get better. I'm the farthest thing from a peach 24/7. Definitely not. And I'm happy to be like that. I'm a fireball. But problems and struggles, like I said, I look for solutions, and any times I feel frustrated on them is because I feel that the solutions that I try to achieve are too advanced for who I need to hear them, simply. That's where it gets frustrating, because it's like, fine, I'll carry this too. That was an awesome little cycle there. I'm going to wrap this up. Remember, tune in to CBC in 25 minutes, and we'll take a look at, holy shit, yeah, no, Taylor's on TV, cool. And if you can't catch that, catch National for a half-hour version of it, check their digitals, and we'll see how it goes. I'm really excited to see how it got produced. And next week's episode, like I said, is going to be a review of this, and to emphasize points that were important to me or points that were omitted, right? And to get ready for that election, because it's a big deal. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. And everybody's got to get out there and vote. So thanks for tuning in, and hope you can see me again later. And otherwise, I'll talk to you guys next week.